Hello, and welcome to the Music Teacher Coffee Talk podcast. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Tanya. We are both elementary music teachers who love to talk shop, preferably over a steaming cup of coffee. This is episode 169. Today, we are doing a mid year check in and reflecting on our goals and plans for the second half of this school year. We'll also talk about our highs and lows from the holidays.
And in our CODA section, we'll give some specific recommendations of our favorite things we are enjoying out of the music room because it's the holiday break. So grab your beverage of choice and let's get started.
This is the time where we talk about our highs and lows, usually from the teaching week. But we are in that murky middle land between Christmas and New Year's. So I do know what day it is, but we can talk about our highs and lows from this holiday. Yeah, because school, that was a million years ago,
I know, I
right?
couldn't even remember what happened.
I made note of a high actually from
Well,
the
okay, we can
school week,
talk about both
but
if
we
you
don't
want.
have to go there.
Okay, I'll start.
Please
How
do.
about we'll talk about school and then we'll talk about holidays. How about that?
Okay,
One of
just make it,
each.
yeah, go.
Okay, so I will say school, I'm gonna go high. The last week before break, was good as far as like I was able to keep teaching, I felt, which was good, which in years past maybe not so much. Um, there was like one rough day. It was like the Tuesday. I don't know. It was just a wonky day and everything was off. But overall, I felt like classroom wise, I even like snuck in presenting a concept because I had gotten behind with first grade because of me being gone. And then we had a weird snow delay day. Anyways, whatever. I got behind with this one first grade class, and all the other classes I had presented to on TT. In this one first grade class, I hadn't. And I was like, well, I can either just cram it in now or wait till after the break, and then they're even more behind. So I thought, let's just try it, shall we? So the Thursday before winter break, and we went through Friday with kids, I presented to on TT and they did great. Now, will I have to like review the heck out of it? Of course I will, but I would have anyways, so that's fine. And I had a choir performance and a school sing along, and it all just like went really well. And this will be coming up in the second half of my highs and lows, but my family had an insane amount of concerts between me and my husband and my children because we're all musicians and we all do things, and no one got sick that week. To be continued. Dot dot dot. But overall, the last week before the holidays was really good. So why don't you talk about your teaching one, and then we'll circle back to winter break.
All right, here's some Schadenfreude. Um,
You might have to define that for some people, Tanya.
oh,
Once upon
you
a time,
know,
you had to define it for me, so I'm saying this for all
oh,
of us.
okay. Well, if you're not a fan of Avenue Q or just whatever, it's not part of the zeitgeist these days anyway. That you can go look up zeitgeist. Anyway, Schadenfreude is the German term which means to be pleased by someone else's misfortune, to be like, wow, I'm glad that's not me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So things were going swimmingly all week, and then Friday happened, and I'll try to make this brief. Kindergartners, stuffies, and some students, some children have issues with like it's the last day. It's wonky. It's wonky, right? And some people react differently, like, yay, it's the last day, I'm so excited, I can't control myself, yay, it's the last day, this is cool, I'm going to be chill. Or boo, it's the last day, I have structure in my life and I won't have this structure. And or hey, this is all changing. And that's big feelings for little ones and not so little ones. Anyway, so kindergarten class, their teacher, the sweetest, kindest kindergarten teacher ever, and she says, we have our stuffies. I hope that's okay. And for a second, I go, and then I go, no, 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 this is fine. This is fine because I've got things that well, wasn't planning on doing, but I'm like, I know a little nutcracker tree pack with stuffies thing that I got from somebody online. And anyway, so I'm like, we'll use the stuffies. That's fine. And then the classroom teacher is like, oh, that's great. And they know they are not supposed to throw the stuffies. That's been a big rule. And I'm thinking, oh, well, my routine had throwing stuff, but no big deal. We lift up stuffies, we bring them down, we lift them up, we dance them. And we can do that. We can do that. We don't have to throw stuffies. We can go with that because I would like to follow what has already been set up for these kids in regard to the stuffies. So anyway, they come in, we do some, our opening song, we have the stuffies, we do our little routine, but I have one little one who is throwing the stuffy in the air and catching it. I said, "Oh, nope, we're not going to do that. Your stuffy needs to sit out over on the alphabet carpet for a minute." And this child is like, "No, not doing that." And I'm like, "Please put your stuffy over here." Screaming, like my ears were ringing. It was very
Mm,
painful. Screaming, screaming, screaming. I'm like, that's not going to go. So I had a parent in the room, and I said, "Would you please call our someone, our an administrator, to come and help this child go somewhere else with their
yeah.
big feelings?" Um, so then I have another kid who throws a stuffy, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, friends, all of the stuffies are going to go over here. We'll try again later in class." Right. And that was, I don't know if it was the timing of when I said that, but kindergartners were very upset that the stuffies, including the stuffies, was over. I was like, "We're going to try again. We're going to do some other things. We're going to try again." They were not hearing that. Anyway, they some tearfully, you know, release the stuffies to the alphabet carpet, and we go on our merry way. And I had planned to use, hand drums and all kinds of things. And we are in a circle. Meanwhile, we have someone in the room with our screamer tantrum throwing child, but did not leave the room because the child refused to leave the room. The child would be a really good civil rights protest, any protest, went limp and
Yeah.
was not able to be removed. So there was like, some quiet, calm talking to the child from another adult while I have kids in the circle. And then, the a calming adult manages to also join our circle with the child who was just like very on edge, obviously still. And at this point, I'm passing out hand drums, and I made a choice. I was like thinking to myself, okay, this might not be popular with the adults in the room, but I'm not giving this kid a hand drum because we showed we're throwing stuffies. The hand, I mean, I don't care about the hand drum. I got hand drums. I was just worried about the safety of other children. This child appeared to be not quite calm yet, right? Anyway, so I very quietly go up to, as we're going around and I'm passing a hand drums, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so and so. I'm not going to be giving you a hand drum right now." And then another ear piercing scream and tantrum. Then child goes over to the carpet and starts grabbing all the stuffies and throwing them around the room. And then lots of kindergartners are freaking out, rushing to the carpet to save their stuffy. So it was just, it would be humorous if it was a Disney movie or something, but it was not humorous at the time. It was like, you know, upset over throwing stuffies, screaming, tantruming, and um, yeah. And then an adult and the original tantrum kindergartner, they did manage to get out the door, but just barely. They were on the outside of the door. We could hear the screaming and the throwing and the ripping up of stuff. I don't know what they were ripping up because I had taken down my bulletin board that's right there. So yay me for that. Yeah, so I actually had to, at the end of class, actually, after we got all settled, I actually led them to another door out my room, like the back way, down some little steps. The kindergarten teacher met us there, took the entire class outside and around the building to enter her classroom because the screaming and tantruming continued.
Yeah.
So,
Yay. Cheers.
yay.
Yeah, been
Yes.
there. I mean, not that exact situation, but
Well, yeah, I
yeah,
know. It's
yeah.
just
No, I
like I
know, but
said,
when it
things.
happens, it rattles you.
things had been going swimmingly. They really were going lovely. I think I planned really well. I was patting myself on the back earlier about doing stations with older kids and doing choice stations. And you and I already had this conversation off mic before. It was like the first time that I've done stations where kids get to choose and stay as long as they want. And I make the rule they have to go to at least two stations. That worked so well. And I was also patting myself on the back for doing one lesson in my rotation that is not holiday related at all, because when we come back, I have two more groups to see that will be doing the lessons that we did right before we got out. And I was very disciplined about, keeping that really. I'm like, I will not start a new rotation with the group coming back in January. Let's be clean about it because this can work well. And so, yay me. Anyway, it was just the kindergarten stuffy fiasco, screaming, throwing things. Yes, that was it.
That's a lot. Not a fun way to go into winter break, but
Well, I
it
mean,
is what it is.
like I said, big feelings. I feel for these little ones. Um, they're very young, these kindergartners.
Yeah.
They're very young, and um, they're very kindergarten-y. They are they are definitely kindergarten. They're the most kindergarten I've had in a long time.
Mm,
Meaning that by the end of the school year, they'll probably be ready for kindergarten. Now I'm just
yeah.
they're just they're a different group, and there's big feelings, and we need to all learn and be respectful of everyone's big feelings. And I'm always trying to think about, how does it feel when you are 5 years old and your stuffy is being thrown across the music room, or
Yeah.
you don't get to hold your stuffy because you gave into an impulse a couple of times.
It's hard. There's not a lot of right answers in that situation, but
Right.
all right. Well, you
Okay.
ended that
So
very sweetly.
yeah, so that was my high, my low from the teaching week.
Sure.
My um for the holiday week, like I know you're going to talk about, in my family, half of my family members got very sick,
Yeah.
and lots of canceling of holiday plans happened. So
Hmm.
I did not get sick myself. So I'm fortunate in that way. My husband, my youngest kid, both got really sick. And so things were canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically my low is I got sick. My son got sick. My son got sick first, and we had the stomach thing. And so Christmas Eve into Christmas, I was in away from the family dealing with that. So that's not a fun way to spend actual Christmas. And so we kind of postponed Christmas dinner till the next day. And, I mean, it was fine. The kids were fine. My kids are older. So, the whole getting up and, yeah, Christmas morning is fun, but it's not like the ritual that it used to be. Now it's kind of more relaxed anyways, and we kind of take our time with it, and it's not the frantic ripping open at 6:30 in the morning and then we all sleep. It's not like that anyway. So we just kind of took our time all day, and I joined when I could, and it was what it was. But then, yeah, I got sick. My mom got sick. She was visiting, and everything just kind of was but we're all done, hopefully, knock on all the wood that it's around me. And we still have a week left of break. Like you said, we're in that weird in between time, and we have some fun things planned as a family. So as long as nobody gets sick again, we should have a good rest of our break. But not always the best, but it is what it is, right?
That's life.
So it is the middle of the school year, and so our main theme today is going to be thinking about that it's the middle of the school year, reflecting on how the first half went, and then making some plans. And as you're listening to this, if you're listening to it as it's just come out, it's the middle of winter break and you might be like, I am so not ready to talk about school. And to be honest, Tanya and I might not be either, but we're going to do it anyways. But, I always feel that push and pull during a holiday break or any sort of school break where I don't want to think about school, but I also kind of want to think about school. Like I can never completely not think about school, but I know different people have feelings about that. So if you're not ready, then hit pause and come back and listen in January when you're back and you're ready to listen. But if you're like us and you like to do a little bit of school thinking, this hopefully will be helpful for you to process what you might think about for the second half of the year.
Can I just mention, I don't know. Here's the thing. My brain my brain's against me because like you were saying, you want to think about it a little bit but not a lot and all that. This is what I've been trying to do, is think about it a little bit but in kind of very vague, not like sit down with pencil or sit down on the laptop and think about lesson 22 is going to look like da, 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 da. Not that. Anyway, so I've tried to give myself permission to just take a break. I have had so many school dreams since we have gotten out, and I hate myself for it. I don't, my subconscious cannot just let me be. Let me be. Last night, even I had a school dream. And I mean, they're really wonky dreams. And usually in these school dreams, at some point, I wake up and I think to myself, stop it. I'm not being paid. Stop it. You don't have to worry. I mean, last night, part of, like I said, very vague, part of what I was dreaming was um, third graders are coming. What am I doing? I don't even know. Better plan.
I
And
hate those. I
I
hate
hate
those.
that. I hate that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah,
yeah.
no, I'm with you. I haven't had any school dreams this break, but it happens and it's frustrating, but it just goes to show that we love what we do so much we think about it even when we know we shouldn't be thinking about it.
Yeah.
Where it's not an 8 to 5 job and we can't just turn it off. So here we are talking about it. But
And here we are. So maybe after doing this, no more school dreams because I will have gotten it all off, right?
And that's to me kind of what it is too. Like when I get in that mode of like I can't stop thinking about school, then it's like, well, fine, then I'll just get out a piece of paper and make a list of all the things, like you said, I'm not going to maybe sit down and write a whole lesson plan, but I can write on the list, write lesson plan, So it's like if it's out of my brain and it's on the paper, honestly, as cheesy as it is, that does help me at least sleep at night and enjoy the rest of my break, in theory. Um, so, all that to say, we're talking about school, and if you're not ready to listen, pause, listen later. But we thought we would start with just talking about some of our big goals, and I don't know if we ever verbalized these big goals on this podcast. Like going into this school year, what were some of the kind of big things we had in mind besides just the daily planning and the typical stuff? Do you want to talk about yours first, Tanya, and then I'll talk about mine?
Well, my school goals for this year were kind of in the line of figure it out and survive because, like you've been dealing with now, this is your second year. I have 120 more kids, uh, three, four extra classes, and 20 less lessons with everybody. So it's just a matter of can I get done curriculum wise what I really want and need to get done given the time that I have, and what do we do less of and what do we do more of. And it's a thing that is ongoing tweaking. So my goal was kind of get through the year under this new system, this new structure, with
Yeah.
us having four um, whatever you want to call them, specials, which, I hate that term, but it's a very popular term, specials. We are calling ourselves SPAM for STEAM, PE, art, and music. But, so yeah, that was my goal, is to figure it out and not lose anything curriculum wise. And so far, it's kind of interesting. I am pretty much in the same place that I would have been this time last year.
Yeah.
So what was I doing? I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, let's talk more about that when we talk about more of the curricular stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so my big goal, because I kind of went through that last year. So this year I went into the year feeling a little more confident with my long term planning and my yearly goals. But Something I always want to do better is give my kids more opportunities for creativity and doing things on their own. And having taken ORF level one this last summer, while it's not like I've fully implemented everything so beautifully and perfectly, that just general idea. So, like, here was my goal. It was as simple as this. Every time we're using some sort of manipulative or doing some sort of notation, thing, I want to give my kids the opportunity to create, even if it's just a little 4-beat rhythm pattern or a little melodic pattern. And, in my head, it used to be, well, if they're going to create, then they have to share. And then it's this whole big long thing of sharing. So what I've gotten over is, well, it can just be share with your neighbor and I don't even hear it. And so it's not even necessarily for a grade. It's not even for an assessment. It's just for the sake of doing it. And I need to be okay with that. And so, like, every time we get out popsicle sticks to write rhythms, it's like, okay, now write your own 4-beat pattern. Every time we're using, and I did some of that before. It's not that I didn't. I just wanted to be more like every single time. We're going to also take the time to create and share with a neighbor, or all clap your 4-beat pattern all at the same time. Because, like I said, it doesn't matter to me. It's just for the sake of doing it. But then, even more so, that to me has always been the easy part. It's the improvisation piece that's been hard for me. So, my goal this year was every time they have instruments in their hands, and I say every time knowing that there's times that I break this rule already, I want to give them an opportunity to do an improvisation, some sort of a question answer improvisation, fill in the empty measure improvisation, whatever little technique. But to me, because having an instrument makes that a lot easier. So if we're on the barred instruments, they can do a little melodic thing. If we have sticks and drums, they can do a little rhythmic thing. I will say the thing that and it's not every time fourth grade has recorder in their hand do we do an improvisation, because we play recorder every single lesson. But in a 3-day rotation, because I see my kids 3 days at a time and then they go away and they come back 3 days for another rotation later, sometime in that 3-day rotation with fourth grade, we're going to do an improvisation. And I've stuck to that. And I think I've already noticed that my students are getting more comfortable with improvising, and I'm getting more comfortable leading those activities. So, all that to say, that's going well, and I'm going to keep working on that throughout the year.
Exactly. That's great. And well, you just said it. The more you do anything, the more everybody becomes more comfortable with it and the
Yeah,
more it just is second nature. So that's wonderful because you focused on this one thing and they're doing it and you'll see results. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. So let's dive in a little bit more with the curriculum, the yearly plan, like how it's going. Are we on track? And we're not going to go like grade by grade. We're going to talk about this kind of generally, where our kids are at with their conceptual understanding. And of course, we're coming at this from a very traditional Kodai inspired framework where we develop a yearly plan where throughout the year we know that around this time we're hoping to present Ta and TT, say in first grade, and then we're going to move on to rest and then SOMI in whatever order you decide. But I mean, I make those yearly plans at the beginning of the year knowing that often this time of year things are going to shift. I do it on a Google Sheet, so it's very easy to cut and paste and move things around. But I will say, and this is kind of what you were saying, this year I haven't had to do a lot of that. So I think I have a better understanding of, and this is my third year at this school, my second year with this new schedule and rotation schedule. So I definitely have a better handle on what my kids are able to do and how quickly they're able to progress through things. I've had to do some shifting, but not as much as years past. But kind of talking about what you were referring to earlier, I've had to trim back on some things, which some things are hard to let go. So I will say, for example, like folk dancing, I don't do as much folk dancing anymore. And, that's just a choice that I've had to make. And it's hard because I love it so much and the kids love it so much. But that's something that takes a lot of time. And yes, I still do it, especially times where I feel like kids just need to move. But I'm trying to be very mindful about the folk dances that I do and choose. They're still weaving into my curriculum in some way, whether it's talking about form dynamics. And, it's not that I didn't do that before, but sometimes we just did a dance because it was fun to do a dance because I liked it and I learned it at a workshop and I wanted to do it with the kids. But now I have to pick and choose those types of things a little bit more carefully. So that's one thing that I know that I've had to scale back on to make sure I can stay on track with everything else. Do you have other things like that that are coming to mind for you?
Well, I know I've mentioned on this podcast before that this year I'm really working hard on melodic things for at every grade level. And something that is not surprising to me at all is that third, fourth, fifth grade have a better melodic understanding conceptually than the earlier grades. So I'm doing a lot more digging in. We're going a little deeper in third, fourth, and fifth grade because I really want to make sure that, all of these specific melodic patterns and understanding relationships between certain pitches that I want them to understand that in a broader context of like melodically and harmonically, which is something I think as Kodai educators that we don't do enough of harmonically for
No.
sure. Um, so it's easier to dig in with older grades. And for now, I think I'm comfortable saying that that's where we can go deep melodically. Not, and we're doing melodic work in the younger grades, of course, but for the younger grades, it's a lot more surfacey and like, is it so mi do or mi re do kind of things? Like I want them to recognize, I want them to be comfortable. Yeah, sight singing has been an interesting thing. I've seen some success with all the grade levels, but the scaffolding that has to happen for all of that is so important. Um, and I'm just making sure that when I ask them to read something, that I put in a lot more scaffolding
Hmm.
than I even think is necessary. So that's just been an interesting thing this year, just to see how kids take to it or don't take to it. Under third grade, it's really challenging because I don't think that they are used to hearing and singing quite as much as the older kids. And the other thing, we're not a vacuum. The music room is not a vacuum. They hear music in other places.
Hmm.
And I would like to make more connections to music in other places. I want this, of course, to be a place where we understand that music is something everyone can enjoy and everyone can love. And it doesn't matter if you didn't like my Somi Do song. Um, I want them to have that enjoyment and love of music more than anything else. So I'm getting off track, but yes, I also have done less folk dancing, although I did do some right before break, and I will continue right after break because I think it is so important the way they feel form and phrasing. But it's like we were saying earlier, if you don't keep doing it, then it's a hot mess when you do it only sporadically. So I have noticed some clumsy um, got to make sure that we are intentional about our movements and not just throwing ourselves around the room. You cannot do all things. You cannot go north and go south at the same time. So if you say we're going to really dig in with singing and understanding melodic things, that means that folk dancing, which I'm not doing as much of when I throw a folk dance at them, whereas in the past everything would go really well with half the time. It takes more time because you just do not have all the time in the world.
Well, and they just don't have that movement vocabulary, if
Exactly.
you just say, okay, now we're going to do-si-do, and then you go, oh, wait, we haven't done that before. Now I have to teach you what a do-si-do looks like. That's a whole different
Sure.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I was mentioning earlier, I am basically in the same place that I was this time last year. I will say that younger, especially first grade and second grade, um, we're cruising through some concepts and it's going well. Like I'm about to present rest when we come back for first grade. And with second grade, we have mentioned before, I ticketed before anything else this year. So we did ticka. They've got ticka ta TT rest, and now I'm going into half note experiences. So that's kind of interesting to see how that plays out. So yeah, younger grades, we're really cruising. And then with the older grades, because I'm trying to be really like thorough melodically, it's going slower. And I'm also trying to do more of, okay, it's not just that this is low law based, but let's really feel minor and let's go beyond. Minor means sad. Like that's always been a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
But I'm really trying. I guess next what I really need to do is, and this is not in my long range plans, I really do need to figure out concretely, harmonically, how I want to go about things, because that's something that has nearly always fallen by the wayside.
Yeah.
And that is a big glaring hole in my teaching. And I don't know about others, but it's just not spoken to as much. And I need to go there.
Yeah. I mean, when we figure it out, we should do a podcast about it. Because, or maybe we'll process it. Yeah, that's 100% always been something that I struggle with too. And I've tried to kind of relate it to a melodic concept where, when we learn do, then we learn what a chord is by doing do, mi, and so. And then when we learn low so, now we can talk about a one chord versus a five chord. But I just don't
Yeah.
always get there. And then that's kind of one of the last things that I would get to in that third grade year. And then it just goes away, and then
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
when I
oh,
have gotten there, when I have sat down kids and explained things, it becomes so theoretical
yeah,
that it's detached
right.
from true meaning, which I think unfortunately lots of music teachers do that. Like they
Yeah,
just get into the music theory of it all, which is
exactly.
very valuable, but if it's not connected to what we're hearing
Yeah.
and experiencing, it's meaningless.
I think the way to go is instruments, like,
Well, yeah.
playing, yeah, on the barred instruments, but then also, and this is something that I am planning on doing with fifth grade when we do our ukulele unit, is actually not like I've just fallen in the trap because it's fun and it's easy to just be like, this is how you play C chord. This is how you play G chord. Let's do a play along video. YouTube play along because they're fun and they're engaging and the kids like
Yes.
it. But I was like, well, that really should be where I'm talking about
But the
why
flip
is it a C
side,
chord, C do, and like
yeah,
relating it to
but
solfege and
you can beat a dead horse. You can also say, all right, well, let's look at a C chord and let's build a C chord and da, da,
totally.
da. And their eyes glaze over
Yeah.
within, 3 or 4 minutes. And they're
Yes.
like, I don't know, just where do I put my finger? So there needs
There's
to
a
be a
balance.
balance. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm hoping that when you take your ORF level 2 and 3, you will know everything about this and you
That's
can tell me,
my
right?
goal too. No, we'll figure it out together. Um, yeah. All right. Anything else on that? You want
And
to
I
move
feel
on
like I
to?
haven't really answered the question. What was the
Oh,
question?
well, the
Where are
question
we
was just
now?
how are we? No, you did. How are we are with our like kind of yearly plans, our long range plans? What have you had to adjust to stay on track? Or if you're not staying on track, are you okay with that? How are you making that work,
I have to be okay with
Oh,
it.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I know
I'm
the answer
always
to that.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also add that throughout the years, and I think so many things have played into this, COVID being one of them. And then, yes, this schedule of me seeing my kids way less. I use less song literature to teach every single concept too. I used to very much abide by the rule that was taught to me that for every concept, you will have at least 5 songs in the preparation stage. And then you will carry those into the practice stage, plus add some unknown song. And it was like five. Every concept must have five. No, I mean, it's very rare that any concept has 5 songs in the prep stage. I'm probably 4, sometimes 3. And then with my older kids, if it's like a really easy, quick concept, I might just be doing 1 or 2 and then we're moving on. And it's like that's okay too. Like, I feel like, maybe I'm just speaking for me, but those of us who have taken levels and we get it ingrained because our teacher taught it to us this way and it was such a beautiful thing, we forget that sometimes it's okay to to do what feels right to you in the moment too. It's okay to break those rules. The
Of
Kodai
course.
police
Yeah.
will not get you. So that's one way that I've also been able to stay on track with my yearly plans, is not focus so much on they have to know this many songs, or even in a lesson has to have this many songs. Like, I think we're learning that it's okay to go deeper in our lessons and have less songs and less activities, especially with those older grades when you're going deeper into something.
Well, and especially when you really understand that the kids in the room drive it all,
Yeah.
right? So there's if there's teachable moments happening, I'm going to go. I'm going to go there. And if that means I don't have the 7 songs that I planned for first grade and we only did 5 because we were able to build a Bordoon on the spot because a kid went there, then we go there. And that's fine.
Hmm.
And you and I have talked a lot about double duty songs. And I'm really seeing how those are boy, a great double duty song will just really take you far because I experienced it not too long ago with Doe in second grade because I pulled out Peas Porridge Hot because I do the sung version, Peas Porridge in the Pot, 9 days old, where we go to Doe at the end. And we used it for rest in first grade. Immediately when I started singing it, kids joined in and away we go. I can start my prep activities. I don't have to worry about, ooh, let's get them used to this song. They know it.
Hmm.
And we used it for rest then. Now we're using it for dough now. What a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
And we get more done with less songs. I mean, and then of course some songs that you do, you're going to do for the joy of making music,
of
and they're
course.
not connected to anything specific. And I'm wanting to embrace more and more of that um, in the next and the rest of the school year and for next year. More songs because we love the songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thought of one more thing before we move on to the next piece. And I was thinking about, holiday and thematic things too. I feel like early in my career, I did so much holiday music, thematic music, because it was cute and it was stuff that I saw other people doing. And I think there's still a time and a place for some of that, but I certainly do way less of that than I used to. I mean, you mentioned doing not even having a lesson with holiday songs right before the holiday. I mean, not to mention the inclusivity piece, right? I mean, you have kids who maybe can't do all that stuff, but I think, when we've talked a lot about this on this podcast, when your lesson plans and your yearly plans are only being driven by what season it is or what holiday is coming up, then, I don't think that's personally the best way to go. you know, do I sprinkle those things in here and there? Sure. But I do a lot less of that now. And again, I think that helps me keep on track with my main curricular goals, which are not necessarily let's just sing a bunch of cute Halloween songs. I love Halloween. I do love to sing cute Halloween songs, but I don't do it as much as I used to.
I don't either, but I'm going to push back just a tiny bit,
Okay.
just in thinking about the culture that we are in and that we teach in, and embracing culturally music of this season, right?
Yeah.
So, during Halloween, we want to dig into that spookiness, and that's an opportunity to really, listen to Dance Macabre, listen to Day of the Dead music, right? It's an opening also to other cultures and hearing
Sure.
that because we do want to be relevant to like, okay, in this culture, it's winter and sleigh ride is a lovely thing to dig into. Um, but you're right. I don't want to hang my hat on everything is about the seasons
Yeah.
because it's kind of sidestepping real teaching,
Right.
right? It's a balance because we want to make sure that we are in tune with um, what's happening in the world of the kids that we teach. That was Kodai was all about, Hungarian children should know Hungarian folk music, right? American children should know everything. I mean, we have to think about the times that we're in and adjust
100%.
everything for sure. But it can't be your bread and butter that it's like it's all about the seasons.
Right.
And it also can't be your bread and butter that it's all about what we determine music literacy is. Like,
Right.
hey, I can read a lead sheet and I'm in sixth grade or fifth grade. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's just not as much for me personally
Well,
as it used
yes,
to be.
for sure. And also because of, I know your schedule's like this. You said you see three kids, you see three lessons, the kids, the same kids, three lessons in a row, and
Yeah,
then they go away.
yeah,
Well, by the time they come back, it's February. So,
exactly. Yeah, practically it doesn't work that well
yeah.
either. Yeah,
And
I
I've
mean,
got
it
that
used
issue
to
as well.
be, yeah, when you saw kids, once or twice a week on this constant rotation, then sure, we could sprinkle in holiday music all throughout December. And we can talk about Hanukkah, and we can talk about Christmas, and we can talk about winter and all of those things. And we've done whole podcasts on that. But I just do a lot less of it because, yeah, if I want to do it with Class A, then I would have to be doing that before Thanksgiving, because I'm not even going to see Class A again until maybe not till January. So, anyways, that's a tangent, but that's
No,
just
I
part
totally
of
agree.
how I'm shaving off time and stable to stay on track, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So, let's talk about the other stuff that we do besides just daily lesson planning, performances and other events that we have coming up the second half of the year. And while we might not be able to ready like to divulge all of the details, what kind of things do you have coming up that you're going to be planning for when we get back if you haven't already planned for it?
I have a second grade concert. Thank you for reminding me that I have not planned anything for.
Yay.
Woohoo!
Well, I will
Well,
suggest to you, Tanya, that you go back and listen to any number of our podcast episodes where we talk about planning performances. I'm not saying this for you because I know you know, but if you're also a listener in that situation, we do have some past episodes about planning programs and performances in a way that's more organic and representative
yes.
of what you're doing in your classroom, not
And
just
I
pulling
know at
out.
least two or
Yeah.
three songs that they already know are going to be in the upcoming concert or mini musical or whatever it is that we do. And now that I have more kids and less time seeing them, my strategy, and it's been a long time since I've had to do this, but my strategy is going to be that there will be some songs that all of us do, all four second grade classes do. And there will be some songs that just one second grade class does. And this is how you can really make sure you've got a full program that lasts more than, 12 minutes, which is the shortest concert I've ever done has been 12 minutes. That's fine. But no, if I want to have like a 20-minute concert, right? So class A does this piece and works it up. And the other kids during that time in the concert, they might even just sit on the risers and listen. And then class B stands up and they do their like so you can make it work if you see kids less by piecing those things out. But I mean, you could even have like, here's the opener. Everybody sings this song together. And then classes go, oh, they do two, they do two, they do two, they do two songs, or even one song. And then there's a closer and everybody sings the same song. And that way, it's not only like a fuller concert or performance, but that class gets to be like spotlighted
Mm-hmm.
and more focus on just those kids. So
Yeah.
I'll probably end up doing something like that since this program is coming up in February, which seems really soon considering how many times I really should have started intentionally planning this whole thing before right now, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine because I will do that. So yeah, I'm doing second grade concert. I'm doing a fourth grade Colorado concert, which I was actually going to abandon this year. I was going to like change gears. But my PE teacher, who has a fourth grader, she said, "Oh, please, please, can they do the Colorado concert? I really."
Oh,
And it's fun. That's great. We'll do the Colorado concert.
yeah.
We can change gears later. And then beyond that, gosh, I think that's all I've got. I do not do what I think you still do. I do not do a concert or a performance for every single grade level.
Mm. I
I
don't
do
either.
every other grade level, is usually how it goes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's what I've got.
I've kept up with the tradition of the teacher before me, who was there for a long, long time. And the tradition was always a second grade performance and a fifth grade performance sometime in the year. So I've decided to keep that up, even though I've been tempted to do more programs. And I have still, depending on what they're doing. So, um, yeah, so I did a fourth grade Colorado concert last year. So I did add that one. But this year I am not going to do it. And this is a very logistical thing, but it has to do with we have some split classes, fourth and fifth grade GT classes that are split grade classes. And so what they're doing is they're alternating with all of the fourth and fifth graders. One year they teach all of them the fifth grade social studies curriculum, and then the next year they'll do the fourth grade social studies curriculum, regardless of whether they're fourth or fifth graders. So while some of my fourth graders will be learning Colorado history this year, half of my fourth graders won't be learning Colorado history this year. So I've decided on the years where they're all doing Colorado history, I will do a Colorado concert. So like last year I did one, but this year I won't. So what I'm doing with fourth grade this year, I honestly don't know. I don't have anything big planned. I thought about doing like a little recorder concert, but I haven't scheduled it and I don't know exactly what that would look like yet. But it would be very informancy, just a very
Mhm.
like Sherry kind of thing. But what I do have planned is a second grade program also in February, and I'm still hashing out the details, but I'm going to take the book, What Do You Do with an Idea by Kobe Yamada, and turn that into a performance with, did I say second grade? Fifth grade. Fifth grade is in February. And it's going to be exactly what you talked about, where we're going to have an opener, we're going to have a closer, and then I have 4 classes in fifth grade. So each class is going to get a song, and they're going to create something with it. And it's going to relate to this idea of what do you do with an idea and creating things out of an idea. Credit to David Rao because he's done this program before. And I had heard of this book and thought, what a great program that would make. And then I saw David Rao had done it. So he has a great video. I'll link to it in the show notes where he talks about what he did with his kids. The beautiful thing about this is that you can take any song that you want the kids to do. It doesn't have to be a particular song and turn it into a really lovely program concert with kind of a loose theme of creativity and how ideas can change the world. So, anyways, more to come on that. I'm sure I'll share later. And then second grade is going to do a program, but not until April. And I was thinking of doing like a Little Red Riding Hood theme because we have lots of songs about animals in second grade. So it works out very well to do something where they go into the forest. And so that's kind of where I've done a program of Little Red Riding Hood before at my former school, but I want to tweak some things. So I'll talk about it when I have it more formulated in my head. But that's what I'm planning. Fourth grade's going on a field trip to the symphony, so we're going to hit that as soon as we get back. And I know you took your kiddos to the symphony, so I might be talking to you about how to best prepare them for that. So that's just something I need to work on when I get back. And then I do continue with choir second semester. So we have a spring performance planned in May, and I'm just doing a traditional choir performance, no musical or anything this year. I've decided to do musical every other year at my school just because if I do fourth and fifth grade and they can do a musical, then I don't feel the need to do one every single year. And that was based on the recommendation of my principal. Thank you so much. So that it's really hard to do a musical every single year. And I actually enjoy doing them, but if I do one every year, I'll burn out. So this year
For
is
sure.
just a typical choir. And so I haven't scheduled, I haven't programmed my choir concert yet. So we have a couple work days when we go back in January, which is nice. So one of those work days, I have a chunk of time that I'm going to devote to going through my scores and deciding what I want to do with my choir. So that's kind of my big stuff.
And good. So we're going to our coda section because we've been enjoying some things outside of the music room that we really want to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you been enjoying besides stomach bugs and Christmas
Seven
fun?
Up and crackers.
Yes.
Well, it was kind of hard for me to think of something because, I have been watching lots of Christmas movies and listening to Christmas music and holiday things. And so I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to talk about that because nobody wants to hear that right now. So here's something that I just started enjoying like today. And I haven't finished enjoying it, but I know that I will. So I'm confident in recommending it. So Tori Amos is one of my most favorites. I know you also love Tori Amos. So she dropped an album earlier in December, but I hadn't had a chance to listen to it yet. It's Diving Deep Live. So she had
Wow.
a tour just this last summer, and I actually saw her at Red Rocks, which was incredible. And it was just a really awesome, beautiful concert. And so this isn't from that particular show, but this is a live album show. And It doesn't necessarily have all of my favorites. I will say I'm a little sad that some are not there, but I'm also enjoying listening to things that maybe I don't know as well as some of the classic favorites. But anyways, Tori Amos is a fantastic artist, pianist, songwriter, singer, and just her shows are always beautifully done. So, anyways, if you like Tori Amos or if you've never listened to Tori Amos, there you go. Diving Deep Live is out, and so far, very good.
Oh, I have to check that out. Tori Amos loomed large in my young adulthood.
Yep. Me
Yeah.
too. Still does. Not
Uh,
my older adulthood. And how about you, Tanya? What have you been enjoying?
well, my husband and I went to the movies the day after Christmas, and we saw the new Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown. And it was very good. And it did not focus on Bob Dylan's life, everything. It was pretty much from the time that Bob Dylan arrived in New York City, and his he sought out Woody Guthrie, and met Guthrie and Pete Seeger. And then ends with when he went electric at the Newport Folk Festival, which was very controversial at the time. There are a couple things that the movie got wrong, like Pete Seeger was not up in arms about Dylan going electric. Pete Seeger was concerned about the distortion of the sound during the concert and how no one you couldn't understand what Bob Dylan was singing. And I know you made that joke earlier about how well you can't understand him anyway. Not true, but
Sometimes it's hard. Come
all right. I,
on.
I do I do love Bob Dylan. I am not a Bob Dylan completist, but like Tori Amos, he loomed large. And there's a few Bob Dylan records, Blood on the Tracks, Blonde on Blonde, that were really important to me as a young adult and forward. Anyway, and then Ed Norton playing Ed Norton playing Pete Seeger. He did a fantastic job. They all of the actors recorded the songs, and they did a really nice like vocal inflection, but not over the top. So you, if nothing else, you have to go see Edward Norton doing his Pete Seeger, because he did really embody this whole like Pete Seeger really was this like not drinking, not smoking, really just all around wonderful, good Samaritan, um, just there for the music and so loving. Anyway, great job. The the portrayal, um, though, of some of the other characters was good, but not enough. Like Alan Lomax, he was kind of angry through the whole movie. They didn't really the importance of Lomax was not really kind of you didn't take that away. And at the very end of the movie, they did a little, typewritten Bob Dylan went on to record 55 albums, blah, 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 and Pete Seeger without it, and nothing about Alan Lomax, which was kind of like, really? We could have mentioned the importance of Alan Lomax, but whatever, that's fine. I get it. It's Hollywood. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I'll probably go see it again. You could go with me, Carrie. We could
Yeah,
go.
maybe I will go with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So
definitely want to see it.
yeah, it was good. It was worth seeing. Oh, and my other thing that kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way was that every song I really wanted to sing along. I mean, they do wicked sing-alongs. I would do a sing-along for this one, but they would do like the first verse, the chorus, the last verse, and we're out. Like every song was about a minute, and
Yeah.
then we're done. And that's kind of a travesty, but
Yeah.
that's
If
fine.
it's about the music, then you should hear the music.
Well, if they had done that, it would be 3 hours long. So
True.
I kind of get why they, whittled it down.
It's like what I do with my kids at the talent show.
Do you do that? You're like,
Yeah.
you're only allowed the first verse and
First
chorus,
verse, chorus, second verse, chorus. That's usually what it is. Just cut it off after the
and you
second
just
chorus.
fade
No
down.
bridge and no final chorus. Minute and 35 seconds. That's all you get.
For reals?
Well, no, like 2.5 minutes. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
two and a
Well,
half minutes. Not that short, but
yeah.
all right.
Anyway,
But recommendation taken.
yeah. So that's my recommendation.
It should be a required elementary music teacher watching.
Well, I think so. I know people might disagree with me.
That these are important figures in our world.
These are very important figures. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. Pete Seeger is the closest thing that we have to Zoltan Kodály in this country,
So true.
as far as promoting togetherness through music. Pete Seeger is that's what we got.
Yeah. We've reached the double bar line. Thank you for listening to Music Teacher Coffee Talk. Show notes can be found at musicteachercoffeetalkpodcast.com. You can connect with us on Facebook or Instagram. Just look for Music Teacher Coffee Talk.
And if you enjoyed this show, please consider subscribing, rating, and leaving us a review on iTunes to help others find this podcast. And as always, we appreciate anyone who'd love to buy us a coffee. So look for that link on our show notes and on our Facebook page. Until next time, this is Tanya.
And this is Carrie wishing you happy musicking. Edward Norton?
That's what I wanted to say. All right, can we record this again? Because I'm
Oh,
sorry.
just keep going. Just keep going.
Ah.
No, okay, I'll pause.